investment or decline, to invest in Britain's renewal or to carry on with the same Tory economics and the same results. So for jobs and for pay, for energy independence and for our national security, we chose investments. The Tories wouldn't invest when they were in power. The Tories now oppose that choice from opposition. So conference, don't ever let anyone tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. We would run the economy differently. No longer would we turn a blind eye to where things are made and who makes them, or shrug our shoulders when the national interest is on the line. Because a strong economy must rest on strong foundations. I call that approach securonomics. That's why, when the shipbuilder Harland and Wolff was in danger, we chose to step in. To guarantee a future for shipbuilding in Belfast, in Devon and in Fife. And I am proud to see the British shipbuilding industry going from strength to strength. With just last month, a record £10 billion export order from Norway for Scottish-built frigates. Why we're taking action to protect the automotive industry, the jewel in the crown of British manufacturing, with a £1.5 billion loan guarantee to support Jaguar Land Rover, provide certainty and support for the jobs in its business and in its supply chain. And in April, when the foreign owners of British Steel rejected our offers of support, redirected essential materials overseas, and prepared that company to close, we faced another choice. We could do what the Tories did and stand idly by while jobs and industrial capacity were lost, or we could choose a different path, to take control of that company in the national interest. That was not just an economic choice, but a test of our conviction, our patriotism, and our Labour values. This government was not willing. I was not willing, to tolerate a situation in Britain's steel capacity was fundamentally undermined. And nor was I willing to see yet another working class community lose its pride, lose the prosperity, lose the dignity that industry provides. So we chose to intervene, to save British steel and the jobs that go with it. The Tories would not back British steel, and they wouldn't back Britain's steel workers. But this Labour government is unequivocal. There must be a future, there will be a future for steel forged here on British soil. I can tell you more. We are introducing new legislation to put our economic security first. We understand your cause and we are recognising a Palestinian state, but we are now a party in government, not a party of protest. And I'm proud to stand here as your Chancellor, the Chancellor that's increased the minimum wage, a Chancellor that is introducing free breakfast clubs and free school meals, a Chancellor that's overseen 5 cuts to interest rates. That's the difference we make, and that is the difference we make in power, not through protest. Our party has changed, and that is why I am standing here, proud to be your Chancellor of the Exchequer. Britain first, empowering us to prioritise British-built ships and British-forged steel, strengthening strengthening our national economic security, and creating good manufacturing jobs here in Britain. Because where things are made, and who makes them, does matter. And as we build those new railways and new roads, the new power stations and new runways for this generation and the next, we want the security and the good unionised jobs that come from making things here in Britain. I promised you we'd run the economy differently. The Tories didn't do it and they still don't get it, but Labour does. So don't let anyone ever tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. There is one reason why we have the power to make these choices. It's not a matter of luck or a routine swing in the political pendulum. It is because, thanks, Keir, to your leadership and to the efforts of countless people in this hall and beyond, that we earned the privilege to serve. Because we, every one of us, gave our all to regain the trust of the British people, to earn this precious chance to put our values into practice. Let me tell you what brought me here and what gets me up every morning. Let me tell you what I believe in and what drives me. Conference, you know where I come from. My mum and dad were primary school teachers, and I'm really proud of that. I know how hard they worked to give all the children that they taught the very best start in life. I know how hard all our teachers work. And I know parents' hopes and fears when it comes to their kids. I feel them for my own. But ordinary families find themselves fighting against a system which hoards privilege at the top and leaves too many working class kids behind. I joined the Labour Party almost 30 years ago now because I could see that the Conservative governments I grew up under in the 80s and 90s, they didn't care much about schools like mine. Ellie knows that too. They didn't care much about the kids we grew up with. Textbooks rationed, libraries closed, kids herded into porter cabins, their prospects written off. I joined our party because I wanted to change all that. And those same values drive me now today. Conference, I believe in a Britain founded on contribution, where we do our duty for each other and where hard work is matched by fair reward. I believe in a Britain based on opportunity, where ordinary kids can flourish, unhindered by their backgrounds. And I believe that Britain's real wealth is found not only in the success of the fortunate few, but in the talents of all our people, in every part of our great country. But Conference, we all know that our shared values can only achieve things for ordinary people if we have the power to act on them and a credible plan to put them into effect. A plan fit for an uncertain world in which we find ourselves, not for the world that we wish it might be. A plan to build a stronger, more resilient economy, able to navigate this age of insecurity. No one said it was going to be easy, but take pride in what we are achieving together. Not just the pride in winning, but pride too in the choices we are making and the lives we are changing. Remember that in every single one of the 451 days that we have been in office, we have achieved more than in the more than 5,000 days that we spent powerless in opposition. Every day since the 4th of July last year has brought with it a chance to change Britain for the better. Creating Britain's first genuine living wage, getting spades in the ground on new road and rail projects, backing our communities to strengthen pride in place, including here in Merseyside with the reopening of Southport Pier, investing in homegrown British energy, freezing fuel duty, capping bus fares, recruiting new neighbourhood police, opening school breakfast clubs, expanding free school meals, lifting 100,000 children out of poverty as we do it, and delivering a pay rise, a deserved pay rise, to our nurses, our teachers, our police and our armed forces. And conference, we're making the NHS fit for the future too, with £29 billion a year towards its day-to-day funding, a record cash investment. The NHS, created by a Labour government, protected by every Labour government, and renewed by this Labour government.
Have you had a random call lately from a strange number, maybe trying to sell you something or even scam you? If so, your info could be out there. That's because of data brokers, shady companies that scrape the internet for your personal details and sell them to marketers or even scammers. These days, scammers can even use AI to mimic your friends' voices and trick you into sending money. It's not just annoying. Data brokers often target vulnerable people with high-interest loans or sketchy offers. But there is a solution. Incogni, the sponsor of this video. Incogni contacts data brokers on your behalf and requests your info be deleted from their databases. And because your data can keep popping up, Incogni keeps sending removal requests to make sure it stays gone. They've just launched a new unlimited plan with custom removals. If you find your info on a weird website, just send them the link and their privacy team will work to get it taken down. Getting started is easy. Hit the link in the description, create your account and let Incogni handle the rest. It's risk-free for 30 days and you'll get 60% off an annual plan with the code GBNews. Take back control of your data with Incogni.
Let me tell you something else we will do. I remember as a kid that my school library was turned into a classroom because there were more students than there was space. Think about the message that sends about a government's priorities. How little value is placed on opportunities for kids to learn and to grow, to explore their interests independently, or to find a quiet place to study that isn't always on offer at home. Under another Conservative government, a generation later, many more kids have that experience. Today in England, there are 1,700 primary schools that don't have a school library. That's not right, and I will not let it stand. So I am committing here today to providing a library in every single primary school in England by the end of this Parliament. Of my values. That is a statement of the value that this government places on all our children's futures. So conference, the Tories don't make those choices, Reform would never make those choices. So take pride. Take pride in our values put into action. And conference, don't ever let anyone tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. Remember how it felt to look on as the Tories took our country in the wrong direction. Austerity, the botched Brexit deal, the mini-budget, school roofs crumbling, NHS waiting lists soaring, 5 prime ministers, 7 chancellors, the worst parliament on living standards ever. Our institutions and our country's very reputation in tatters. And never forget what they did during the pandemic. While we were kept apart from our loved ones and feared for our families, the Conservatives partied in Downing Street and dished out contracts to their friends and to their donors. We are still paying the bill for their waste and their cronyism. So I'm pleased to tell you that thanks to our COVID Corruption Commissioner, almost £400 million has now been recovered for taxpayers that have been lost to COVID fraud. And we will continue that fight, and we will continue that fight to recover more from those PPE contracts that failed to deliver. But we won't stop there. In the coming months, we are bringing in additional new powers to investigate and recover more money from fraudsters who have ripped off the government and ripped off our public services. And I can tell you today too that to deploy those new powers, we are recruiting a new hit squad to investigate and recover all the money that is owed to the British people. Because, conference, we want our money back. We are getting that money back, and we are putting it where it belongs, in our communities, in our schools, and in our National Health Service. But the most enduring consequences of the Conservatives' time in office come from their economic failure. They made Britain poorer. They made working people poorer. And they left our public finances in disarray. The single biggest factor underlying Britain's challenges on the cost of living, on the public finances, and on our public services is their 14-year failure on economic growth. If the UK economy had grown at just the average of other advanced economies in those 14 years, our economy today would be £140 billion bigger. That's almost £5,000 for every family in the UK. Our economic renewal will rest on stability to keep taxes, inflation and interest rates as low as possible. Economic reform to unlock the contribution of businesses and working people, and investment in every part of Britain. Each day, I see a country primed for economic success. A skilled and committed workforce, world-class universities and innovative businesses. But the Conservatives and Reform, they want you to believe that our economy is broken, that our best days lie behind us, that decline is inevitable. I fundamentally reject that. It's not the country I see around me, not the future that I believe in. I know that things are still difficult. Bills are too high. Getting ahead can feel tough. And there are still too many obstacles in the way for businesses. And so our central economic objective is to change that. Growth to improve living standards is a challenge, and investment is a solution. By overhauling our planning system, reforming our pension system, launching Britain's very first national wealth fund and a modern industrial strategy, and signing new trade deals to back our manufacturers and our exporters, with India, with the United States, and with our closest neighbours and allies in Europe. Just this month, thanks to Keir's hard work, we secured £150 billion of overseas investment just from the United States. I have never believed the Tory mantra that the best thing that a government can do is to get out of the way. A strategic state must use its power to support jobs and growth, and that includes through public investment. Under the Tories, capital spending was always the first victim when the public finances came under strain. So in last autumn's budget, I changed those fiscal rules to support and to protect investment. And alongside that, because I know that too often our regions outside London and the South East have not had their fair share of spending decisions, I rewrote those rules to support investment in every part of Britain. In place of decline, we have chosen investment. Investment in defence and the good jobs that come with that. In Plymouth and in Barrow, in Aldermaston and Lincoln, on the Clyde and in Rosyth. Investment in energy, in nuclear power, yes, and in carbon capture and storage too. on the Humber and on Teesside, in Aberdeenshire and right here on Merseyside. Investment in transport, including the biggest ever investment in our city regions. We're investing here in Merseyside, with new links in St Helens and major investment in Merseyrail, including a new station at Liverpool Baltic. We're investing in Greater Manchester, with new tram stops in Bury, North Manchester, Oldham and Stockport. And we're investing in West Yorkshire to power ahead with a mass transit system, linking Bradford and Leeds, the largest city in Western Europe without a light rail or metro system, but not for much longer. We're investing in South Yorkshire and backing Doncaster Sheffield airports. We're investing in the North East to extend the Tyne and Wear Metro, linking Washington with Newcastle and Sunderland. We're investing in the East Midlands to link up the Trent Arc. We're investing in the West Midlands, extending the Birmingham Metro and backing the Midlands Rail Hub to link Birmingham, Worcestershire and Herefordshire with Wales. And we're investing in Welsh railways with new stations and new infrastructure, the benefits of two Labour governments working together. And we're investing in East-West Rail to join up the Oxford-Cambridge Growth Corridor and Conference, as well as the Transpennine route upgrade to link Manchester, Leeds and York and the towns in between them. This Labour government will push ahead with our plans for Northern Powerhouse Rail. Plans never delivered by the Conservatives, plans opposed by reform, but backed by this Labour government, a vote of confidence in the north of England, to get people to work, to connect families, to create jobs, and to build prosperity in towns and cities scarred by underinvestment for far too long. That is what we are achieving together, a Labour government working with our Labour leaders around the country, delivering for working people. Investing in defence and energy and transport. The housing crisis is one of the greatest challenges that we face. Every family deserves the security, safety and the joy of a good home. That is why we are powering ahead with our commitment to build 1.5 million homes in this Parliament. And any plan to match the scale of that housing crisis must involve a major role for social housing, which is why I allocated £40 billion in the spending review just a few months ago. The biggest cash investment into council, social and affordable housing in a generation. So Conference, don't ever let anyone tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. But Conference, let us be clear. All that we are doing is only possible because we, all of us, put in the hard work to show the British people that we could be trusted to manage our economy. Because we were unequivocal in our commitment to economic responsibility. And I will never, ever squander that hard-earned trust. We were able to increase investment only because we remained steadfast in that commitment to economic responsibility. That is not a trade-off with our Labour values. It is essential to our Labour values. Because our ambition for Britain, our dedication to social justice, is not measured in the size of the deficit you are willing to run, but in the choices we make to defend and advance the interests of working people. And responsible management of our public finances is an integral part to that most basic mission. It is because of the stability that we have created that we have seen 5 cuts to interest rates since the general election. Mortgage costs coming down and hundreds of pounds back in the pockets of working people. Conference, every advance we make in getting the cost of living down is a Labour achievement, and we should take pride in that. I said that we must not and would not take risks with Britain's economic stability, that argument was not just for an election. Even now, with the global uncertainty that we have seen ripple through financial markets, there are still critics out there who would too readily forget the consequences of reckless economic choices. Never forget that in 2 hours, one Friday, almost exactly 3 years ago, the Conservatives under Liz Truss sent mortgage costs spiralling, put pensions in peril, and consigned their party not just to defeat, but to utter irrelevance. That was a warning. And the British people will not forgive any party that forgets it. Conference, let us reaffirm our commitment that we will never ever do what the Conservatives did to ordinary working people in this country. But I do know that there are still people who peddle the idea that we could just abandon economic responsibility and cast off any constraints on spending. They are wrong, dangerously so. And we need to be honest about what that choice would mean. Because when spending gets out of control, when market confidence is lost, that doesn't just show up in some OBR report and some difficult headlines a few months later. It is felt immediately in the growing cost of essentials and rising interest rates. And let me tell you, there is nothing progressive, nothing Labour, about government using 1 in every £10 of public money it spends on financing debt to interest. Billions of pounds every single year going towards repaying debt racked up by the Tories, paid to overseas hedge funds and investors. That's not how I want to spend public money. In the months ahead, we will face further tests, with the choices to come made all the harder by harsh global headwinds and the long-term damage done to our country, which is becoming ever clearer. Our first year in power was about fixing the foundations. Our second must be about building a renewed economy for a renewed Britain. A renewed economy that works for working people and rewards their contribution. A renewed economy where we reject austerity and support our public services. A renewed economy that supports investment, that gets inflation and borrowing down, and where we build growth in every part of Britain. I will make my choices at that budget. They will be choices to take our country forward. And whatever tests come our way, whatever tests come my way, I make this commitment to you. I will take no risks with the trust placed in us by the British people. Remember everything that is at stake here. The single greatest threat to our way of life and to the living standards of working people is the agenda of Nigel Farage and the Reform Party. Whatever falsehoods they push, whatever easy answers they peddle, however willing they are to tear communities and families apart, they are not on the side of working people. Here are the questions that we must never tire of repeating between now and the next election. Who is standing up for Britain's working people? A Labour government introducing the biggest upgrade of workers' rights in decades? Or a Reform Party which has opposed those rights every single step of the way? Who is standing up for Britain's interests? A Labour government that stands with our allies, or a Reform Party in bed with Vladimir Putin? Who is standing standing up for Britain's economic stability? A Labour government resolute in getting prices and interest rates down? Or a Reform Party that cheered on the mini-budget of Liz Truss? Who is standing up for Britain's businesses? A Labour government that is forging closer relationships with our nearest trading partners? Or a Reform Party who wants to talk Britain down and longs to cut us off from the rest of the world? And who is standing up for Britain's National Health Service? A Labour government investing record amounts in our NHS, or a Reform Party opposed to the very principle of a publicly funded healthcare system free at the point of use? Every time, on every issue, it is Labour that is standing up for working people and standing up for our national interest. Friends, this is a fight that we must win, and it is a fight that we will win. So when you leave this hall, when you return to your communities and your workplaces, let the message ring out that there is only one party that was founded by working people, and only one party that is committed absolutely to defending their interests, on jobs and on pay, on rights at work, on health and in our schools, on the safety of our streets and the strength of our communities, on energy security and on national security. The clue is in the name, conference. That party, the party of working people, is the Labour Party. I'll tell you about my patriotism. It's about the strength of our military and the security of our borders, absolutely. But it goes well beyond that. It's about building a country where we recognise that talent is found in every classroom, not just among those at the top. That working people of every background, wherever they grow up, have more in common with each other than those who wish to divide us. That every town and city, every region and nation in this United Kingdom has a part to play in our shared success. A country where we look out for each other, in good times and in bad, where we back British businesses to succeed in the world, and where we back working people too. So that honest work pays a wage that you can afford to live on. Where we recognise that we are strongest when we work together towards that better Britain. A patriotism not measured in how quick you are to exclude, how loudly you shout, how willing you are to exploit every division and distort every challenge that we face. But a patriotism measured in our obstinate determination, our impatience, our commitment to building a better, fairer, more prosperous Britain. That is our patriotic mission. Those are our Labour values. Those are our British values, and we will fight for them. Conference, never forget who we do this for. Before the summer, I was at a breakfast club in the north of England. It was 8:30 in the morning, and there was a little boy sitting on the floor playing with his Lego. He showed me what he was building. He was really proud of his project, and he wanted to tell me all about it. I enjoyed sitting with him and listening to him talk. Afterwards, one of the teachers said something that stayed with me. She said, "You know that boy, when he started coming to breakfast here, he didn't speak at all. He was completely silent." I was shocked, but maybe I shouldn't have been, because stories like that are too common in Britain. And I thought about the money that we're putting into breakfast clubs. What does that pay for? Some toast and cereal, maybe some juice, an extra hour of a teacher's time to keep an eye on the kids. But what does it actually buy? For that little boy sitting on the floor absorbed in his Lego, it bought him more than food. It bought him an opportunity. The opportunity of time spent at school in a more intimate environment, where he could play and feel at ease. The opportunity to start the school day ready to learn. The opportunity of a better start in life, and with it perhaps the opportunity of a better future. Conference, that's what we all fight for. That's who I fight for. That's who this party is for. Kids like him, families like his. I know that there is much more to do, and I promise you we will do it. But we should take pride in the lives already being changed by the choices that we have made. And let me tell you, there is no greater champion for working class kids than my friend and my colleague, our Education Secretary, Bridget Phillipson. Believe me, she will not rest, and I will not rest until those barriers to opportunity are torn down. That is what we are in this for, friends. But those barriers don't just vanish the day a young person leaves school. The last Labour government supported hundreds of thousands of young people into work with its New Deal. But once again, under the Conservatives, too many young people found themselves trapped, frozen out of employment, education or training. There's no defending that. It's bad for business, bad for taxpayers, bad for our economy. And it scars people's prospects throughout the rest of their lives. At the spending review, I pledged record investment in skills to support our young people. And today I can announce that with that investment, we will fund a new youth guarantee. Every young person will be guaranteed either a place in college for those who want to continue their studies, or an apprenticeship to help them learn a trade vital to our plans to rebuild our country, or some one-to-one support to help them find a job. But more than that, our guarantee means that any young person out of work, education or training for more than 18 months will be given a paid work placement. Real work, practical experience, new skills. Conference, we won't leave a generation of young people to languish without prospects, denied the dignity, denied the security and the ladders of opportunity that good work provides. Just as the last Labour government achieved that with the New Deal, I commit this Labour government to nothing less than the abolition of long-term youth unemployment. We've done it before, Conference, and we will do it again, and that is the difference that this Labour government is making. Not all. We should not cut young people off from opportunities that my generation took for granted. And that means rejecting the politics of isolation and division, for which our young people pay the gravest price. It means defying those voices which claim to speak in the national interest, but which demand that our people, our communities, and our businesses suffer the consequences for a Britain cut off from the rest of Europe. I don't want young people to miss out on the chance to enrich their lives through travel, experiencing other cultures, working and studying abroad. Those opportunities cannot and must not be the sole preserve of the wealthy and the fortunate. So, as well as making it easier to trade with Europe, as well as making it easier to travel in Europe, I can tell you today that we are working with the European Union to secure for young people in Britain the maximum economic and cultural opportunities available through an ambitious agreement on youth mobility. So, Conference, don't ever let anyone tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. This year has brought its fair share of challenges for our party and our country. They won't be the last. We've turned our backs on the path of decline, and we've chosen investment. But there is further to go. So yes, I'm proud that under our watch, Britain has been the fastest growing economy in the G7. But is there more to do if we want prosperity in every part of Britain? Absolutely. I'm proud to have overseen wages rising by more in the first 10 months of this Labour government than in the first 10 years of the previous Conservative government. But is there more to do if we want to make working people better off? Absolutely. And I'm proud that we've recruited 2,000 new GPs, delivered 5,000 extra appointments, and cut NHS waiting lists by more than 200,000. But is there more to do if we want an NHS truly fit for the future? Absolutely. And conference, we are just getting started. So whatever challenges come our way, don't be deterred, because I can see the destination if we stay true to our course. A Britain where every child can flourish, no matter their background or their parents' jobs or where they grow up. And never let anyone tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. When people ask you, who is this government for? When they ask you, whose side are you on? Then you can tell them. Go and ask the steel worker in Scunthorpe, the engineer in Barrow, the shipbuilder on the Clyde. Ask the mum on the living wage, going to work secure in their knowledge that her children will get a good start to the day. Ask the nurse who has had back-to-back pay rises due to this Labour government. Ask the business facing lower barriers to trade. And ask the patient finally off a waiting list because of this Labour government. There is further to go. But whatever tests confront us, have faith. Because our party and our country have overcome greater challenges than these. Have faith. Because the opportunity to serve is what we came into this for. Have faith, knowing that this Labour government will not rest. I will not rest until our patriotic cause is realised. In a Britain that prizes contribution, that unlocks opportunity, that silences the nagging voices of decline. And never let anyone tell you that there's no difference between a Labour government and a Conservative government. The world may throw challenges our way, but a better Britain is within reach. A Britain where the barriers to opportunity are torn asunder. A Britain able to look outwards with confidence, defiant in an uncertain world, powered by the contribution of its people, hopeful for our shared future. A proud Britain, a prosperous Britain, a Labour Britain. Thank you.